Lamar Jackson, where's he going to go? Rumors about New England. So Asante Samuel, a former Patriot, went to social media and tweeted this. Lamar Jackson, my brother, trust me, you don't want to play for Belichick. Now, the initial blowback to Asante was, dude, why so bitter? You got drafted there. In 4 or 5 years, you went to 3 Super Bowls, won 2. You were 66-14. So bitter. Must be just money driven. Well, take the telescope and flip it. What if Asante Samuel really likes Lamar Jackson and is rooting for a young man to get the most out of his career? So Lamar's going to get paid if he became a Patriot because they'd have to trade for him. He'd get a contract. So it's not money driven. What if Asante Samuels is tweeting about 2 indisputable facts? That the greatest quarterback who's ever played this game, Tom Brady, never had dinner one time with Belichick in 20 years. They really had no relationship outside of the weekly meeting. That he got frustrated. His former wife, Gisele Bundchen, said it on the documentary. He didn't feel respected. They gave him no ownership in the offense. That is indisputable. From Gisele, from Tom, from the documentary, from multiple reports. That's indisputable. And here's what's also indisputable. A young quarterback, Mac Jones, promising career. Belichick had so little respect for the position, he put a defensive coordinator as offensive coordinator. Can you imagine Belichick taking a quarterback coach and making him a linebacker or a corner coach? No, because he lives and breathes defense. He's tone deaf on offense. It's easy to attack Asante Samuel and say, you're bitter, or it's about money. But 2 things are indisputable. The GOAT left for Tampa. Pirate ship Tampa. Goofy Tampa. Ybor City loose cocktails at 4 Tampa. Brady's like, no, I'm going to leave a dynasty for that. A franchise that is overwhelmingly, I once covered it, irrelevant. Every 10 years they have a great team. Brady left the dynasty for that. What does that tell you? And Mac Jones got a defensive coordinator as an offensive coordinator? Now that you've flipped the telescope a tad, feels different, right? Maybe Asante Samuel cares for Lamar Jackson. Ask yourself this. Let's take another great young quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. If he was on the market today, and take the Chiefs out, where do you think the best landing spot for him would be? I'd be like, San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan, or Sean McVay. I don't know, Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. I'd start naming offensive coaches, one after another. Oh, Sean Payton. You wouldn't name Belichick. Tom Brady's like, get me out of here. I want to go to goofy Tampa. Brady's second choice was the Chargers. No Super Bowls. Mac Jones. Furious. Multiple leaks. Divided locker room. Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones. Belichick still won't wrap his arms around Mac Jones. It's easy to view Asante Samuel as selfish, or maybe what he's telling a great young quarterback is, look around the league, man. Go to a coach that will embrace you, that takes the position seriously, that can rebuild an offensive line. Pittsburgh defensive coach, Buffalo defensive coach. 5 years, neither can figure the O-line or the run game out. Andy Reid did it in an off season. I don't think Asante Samuel's anti-Belichick. He's pro-reality. Lamar potentially is out there. Look for an offensive coach. Look for somebody who respects the position. Look for somebody going forward that understands your side of the ball. Odell Beckham Jr.'s contract asking price predictably has changed. Pro Football Talk announced it was $20 million per. According to sources now, it's down to $15 million. He turns 31 in November. We thought the $20 million was absurd. I still think $15 million is way too high for an older, brittle, dramatic wide receiver. And it is interesting to watch. If I could tell NFL players anything, especially guys coming into the NFL, drama is good for TikTok. It's good for Instagram. It's good for the NBA. It's bad for football. It's not your friend. Cam Newton, Baker Mayfield, sometimes OBJ. Very dramatic players. Look at me. It always ends the same way. The name with Baker, with OBJ, becomes bigger than the consistent production. The player still views themselves as a star surrounded by yes men. 90% of teams have no interest at any price, and then they end up settling far below what they think they're worth. This is not the NBA. It's a different sport, a different sensibility, and a different culture. In the NBA, players have more power because there's fewer starters. Teams cave to their demands. There's also very few stars in the NBA. One or two guys can shift the entire power structure. Also, they often make more money on shoe deals than player team contracts. It's a different sport, and that's great. I love the NBA. I love the NFL. Every sport is different. I've always said the NBA is more like European soccer. You pay Ronaldo whatever it takes. You don't do that in the NFL. Outside of quarterback, nobody's worth more than a point a game, according to Vegas. And so in OBJ's case, he's older. He's increasingly brittle. There's a little bit of drama. He believes his value is greater than it is. Or go get a college guy. The NFL gives 30 receivers a year, hands them to the NFL. 4 or 5 become instant stars. Another dozen become highly productive by year 2 or 3. It's not a difficult choice, but it is not a friend of you as a professional football player. Look at the NFL's a great example. Jalen Ramsey, unbelievable talent. Number 1 high school corner in the country. Went to Florida State. Number 1 college corner in the country. Florida State. Great. Comes into the NFL, arguably the number 1 corner. Jacksonville moves off him, and the Rams just moved off him for a 3rd-round pick after having a so-so year. He didn't have a terrible year. He had some really good games. He's still a really good player. 3rd-round pick and a backup tight end. Drama is not your friend. It always ends the same way. Always. The name's bigger than the production, right? You believe you're still a star, but you are in name only. 90% of the team is not remotely interested, and you end up signing a contract that's well below kind of what you think you deserve. And so I've said before, I'd love to have OBJ in my team, $7 million a year, maybe build in some incentives to get him to 9 or 10 or 11. I think he's still a very explosive player, but 90% of the league is not remotely interested. The Rams are in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? Like a very distracted city where stars get people into arenas. Like L.A., the Rams need a receiver. They need a number 2. It's Los Angeles, and they moved off. They didn't offer. And that's despite the fact many players on the team were like pro-OBJ, and despite the fact he has a house here. So it's, I said this with Baker Mayfield. At the end, bad team, tiny contract for a guy that Baker's actually got some talent. He was a number 1 pick for a reason. He's got some talent. May have been overdrafted, but Baker's got some talent. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.